It is currently my lunch hour, and I am going to fast today, skip lunch, and focus on trying to catch some fish. We are going to try to be as efficient with time as possible, so we're getting right to it. There's plenty of time to explain, but for the time being, if I can catch some panfish, that is an absolute blessing. Hey, there's a fish. There we go. Oh my goodness. Well, we got a fish. Not quite what I was looking for, but we got to start with something, and it's lunch hour, baby. So anything is a bonus, and that, my friends, is a micro bass. Got it on the an old Karma Donkey Tail Jr. This one's actually changing colors a little bit because it's been sitting in a box with some other colors. If you leave them with other color mule plastic, sometimes that color will bleed a little bit. So this one I don't really mind. I just picked it up because it was ready to go. I've been catching some bluegill at other bodies of water, so I gotta imagine there's a few active. I mean, especially if the little juvenile bass are willing to eat, the bluegill should be too. Oh, definitely had a bite. Probably a small bluegill or something. Got him. There we go. All right. It's not the right size, but it is the right species. Just a little bluegill right there. Juvenile bluegill. So we've caught some dinks so far, but it's a lunch hour special, so anything I catch is a win. One thing I did want to talk about today, I'm using this DAIWA QZ750. This is like a budget reel. It's about $60 these days, I want to say, which these days, you know, money doesn't go very far, so 60 bucks is relatively low when it comes to fishing gear. I'm using my super ultralight rod. This is the DAIWA Aging 5'5" super ultralight. I've talked about this rod in the past. This is 2-pound ester line that I'm playing around with, but mostly I wanted to play around with this reel right here. Obviously cheaper components, nothing too fancy, but kind of a cool little ultralight reel. So we're gonna keep testing it. Well, unfortunately I casted that straight into a tree. First impressions of this reel are pretty good. It looks pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie, but I do think I like the DAIWA Revros LT just a little bit more. And I wanna say that's a very similar price point. So I had this 1/64 ounce chartreuse mule jig rigged up with a horsefly in the Dakota Sunrise color. And I'm gonna put that on instead. It's gonna have a little bit more pop. And I think in this slightly dingy water, the fish will be able to eat that a little bit easier. Also, it's gonna sink a little bit slower, and I'm fishing really shallow, so that should help things as well. So as mentioned, I'm using this ester fishing line, and this stuff is so thin, I wasn't able to get a good feel for how much would fill the spool. And you can see that I probably underspooled the reel a little bit. I probably could have put more on there, but the problem was I ran out of line. This stuff is a little bit wiry for my liking. I think this is like a DAIWA ester. I don't like it as much as the Sunline stuff that I rigged up on a different reel last year, but it's good to test. I've made like 20 casts at this tree, and I have not been able to catch these short strikers. This is gonna be my last cast here, and then I'm gonna keep moving. I cannot get too distracted by these dinky fish. Dadgummit. They just will not commit to it. Eat it. They're just pulling on the tail. I'm telling you, these are juvenile bluegill. I don't know why I'm still fishing for them. I'm so stubborn. This is a real problem of mine. I waste so much time dinking around with small fish. We gotta keep moving. Got him. Okay, I think this is another representation of the fish that I'm dealing with here. This is probably a big one based on these pesky little fish that keep short striking. There you go. That one actually ate it well, but look at that. He's a whopping 4 inches long. Absolute micro, but we'll take it. Honestly, it feels good to catch a fish after experiencing so many dang short strikes. Feels good to land one. All right, we've caught 3 fish. That's 3 more fish than I was planning on catching today, so I'll take it. We've got a bunch of overhanging tree branches and whatnot here, so I'm actually just gonna shoot this out there. It's always an effective approach with the ultralight, whether you're shooting it under a dock or you're just trying to make a cast when you're around a bunch of junk. Got him. Oh, there's... he's not big, but he's more respectable than the last one. I will certainly take him. I'm surprised I actually got a hook set in that fish. My rod was kind of pointed right in between a tree limb, and so I wasn't able to really move much line there. There you go, dinky little gill. I will take it. I think one thing I'm noticing about this reel is that it could use a little bit of grease. You know, it doesn't feel terrible. It does feel a little grindy though, and I feel like it needs a little bit of oil. So I might tear it apart soon and add some oil to it and see if that helps. I bet it will, but it definitely doesn't feel quite as good out of the box as a lot of reels do. You know, for $60, I would expect the reel to be ready to go out of the box, but I think I'm gonna add some grease to it and it'll probably make it feel a little more smooth. Got him. There we go. Hey, look at that. Man, he put up a good little fight for being a dinky little guy. Might be because I kind of hooked him on the outside of the mouth a little bit there, but he really did try to fight a little bit. You heard a little bit of that drag. You know, a fish this size probably should not pull drag, but hey, I'll take it. He put up a good fight. I'm never mad if a fish, you know, fights harder than it should. That's okay in my book. There you go. Caught another. All right. Man, that's a good way to use a lunch hour. I'm obviously not catching any big fish today, but I tell you what, using my lunch hour to get some fresh air and catch some fish is a wonderful thing, and I feel like I need to do this more often. I really haven't had very much time to fish lately, so it feels really good to just get out here and catch something. Either way, let's get back to it. I've got a few more minutes. We'll see if we can catch something a little bit bigger. If not, I'll take the fish I'm catching. Got him. Haha. It's probably the same fish. Yeah, another dink. That's okay. All right, having a good time. Man, I can feel that sun beating down on my neck. Feels great. All right, I'm gonna walk a little bit further, fish one more spot, and then we gotta turn back and go back to work. On my walk over here, I did verify online that the DAIWA Revros LT 1000 is still also $60. So based on my first impressions, I would probably choose the Revros over this reel, but both are fine options. So far, this is fine. I do like the feel of the Revros more though. There's a fish right there that keeps biting. There he has it. He has it. Oh, he just pulls on the tail and just shakes his head. Got him. All right. I'll tell you what. I don't know if this bass bit before or not. I am willing to bet that he did, but I finally got him. I made the same cast probably 30 times in a row, all for this little dinky bass. You know, I think there was a couple bluegill in there as well, just some pesky little fish that were very stubborn. And I tell you what, a lot of people think ultralight fishing isn't very fun when they catch little dinky fish like that. But I'll tell you what, I still very much enjoy catching fish like that, especially when they're finicky like that, because it almost gamifies fishing. When you have all these short strikes and it's really challenging, there's this level of satisfaction that comes from finally getting one to actually eat it and hooking the fish. For me though, I think one of my favorite things about ultralight fishing is you just never know what you're gonna catch. And at any moment, you might all of a sudden hook into a random big fish, a random species of fish you've never caught before. That's why I personally like ultralight fishing. And so even though I'm only catching dinky fish today, it could happen at any moment where I could hook into some big random fish that I've never caught before. So that's the thing that keeps you guessing. That's the thing that keeps ultralight fishing fun. I'm sure a lot of you can agree with that from previous experiences you've had on the water. Anyways, I'm rambling. Let's go catch another fish. There we go. I was kind of letting it sit, playing around, moving my camera, and all of a sudden, I scored one of my better bluegill for the day. It's not really saying much, but I will take it. He was right up against the butt of that tree, that big stump in the water, and there you go. Pretty little bluegill. All right. Got him. That was a nice little shot back there. A little bit more respectable fish. The coolest thing about it was the fact that I shot my jig back there, and that's what got me this fish. I'm telling you folks, if you do not have the old jig shooting technique down yet, you gotta practice. Whether you fish from a boat, kayak, bank, it doesn't matter. This little technique right here is so clutch. Like right there, it's hard to make that cast overhand. Shooting it back there is how you're gonna get that jig in a spot where you might actually catch a fish. If you only know how to cast overhand or sidearm, you're just gonna miss a lot of opportunities. So I just looked at my phone and unfortunately I lost track of time, so I do need to get back to work. But I tell you what, despite the fact that I skipped lunch and I'm hungry right now, I am still satisfied because I caught some fish. This little 5.5 foot super ultralight rod, always a good time to fish with, but this little DAIWA QZ750 reel, cool little reel. I do still prefer the Revros LT 1000 for the same price, but all things considered, it did a good job. I'm gonna keep playing around with it. Thank you so very much for watching. Make sure to stay tuned. Hopefully I can get out in the kayak here again soon. Obviously, I've just had very little time, but weather is getting better, days are getting longer. Safe to say we're gonna be in the kayak very soon. Appreciate you watching. We'll catch you next time. A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones.